Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're stepping away from the garden and spending some time in the kitchen canning tomatoes. This is actually my second year canning tomatoes, and because I'm still a bit of a newbie, I'm following the Bernardin Complete Book of Home Preserving, which I think is the equivalent of the bulk canning books you often see in the US. I just want to make sure I'm doing everything properly and safely as I learn. So this year we added 8 tomato plants to the garden, mainly Romas, so I could double the amount of sauce compared to last year. Now over the season we've been harvesting them together, and when I didn't have enough for a big batch, I just tucked them into the freezer until I was ready. And today I finally have enough to turn into sauce. While my tomatoes thaw in the sink, I'm going to wash my jars quickly in some hot soapy water, and then I'm going to let them air dry on a clean dish towel. I'm using 750 ml jars today, but I also have 500 ml and 1 liter jars just in case I change my mind. If you're new here, hi, my name is Marsha and I'm the Black Thumb Gardener. I live in Ontario, Canada, USDA Zone 5B, and welcome to my kitchen. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back and thank you for supporting my channel. Once the tomatoes have somewhat thawed, I'm cutting them into quarters and then dumping them into a big pot to boil for about 10 minutes before I run them through a food mill. Now, if these tomatoes were thawed completely, I would have removed the skins first before running it through the food mill to make the process easier, but because they aren't, I'm just going to dump everything into the pot and deal with it later. While the pot was warming up, I did run into the garden to grab some more tomatoes to add to the sauce, but they weren't ripe yet, so I went into my stash by the window and grabbed what was available. I personally would prefer to work with fresh tomatoes because it makes the process so much easier, and these tomatoes are looking so good. This year I grew 3 plum tomato varieties, and I think I'm going to do a repeat for next year. Alongside the red batch, I also have some bright orange tomatoes called Sunrise Sauce that I'm cutting up right now. They're sweet, meaty, and perfect for a special smaller batch. I'm keeping them separated so I can make a jar of golden orange sauce later on. Now that the tomatoes are soft, next comes the food mill, which separates the pulp from the skin and the seeds. These tomatoes were frozen first, so there's a lot of liquid at this stage, and that's perfectly normal. It just means that the final sauce will need more time to cook down. When I run just the skins back through, you can see how thick the sauce can be, and that's the texture I'm aiming for. After filling up an entire pot, I still have 3 bags left, so time to start the process over and fill another pot. These are all of the skins that are left over, but stay tuned to the channel because we will be doing something with them later on. I personally love a sauce that clings to pasta, so I'm going to let my sauce continue to simmer down quite a bit. So I'm going to use this time while the sauce is thickening to warm up my jars. Now I'm warming up my jars in the canner, and there's a specific temperature that my book says that you need to get your jars to. Some people warm them up in the dishwasher. Listen, I'm a novice, so I'm not going to take that route, and I'm going to use a canner for this. So I'm warming them up in hot water so they're not shocked when the hot sauce goes in. If you do use cold jars with boiling sauce, it can cause the jars to crack. I also read that warming also helps the jars to seal properly once they've been processed. Lastly, I am filling up these jars about 3/4 ways full. Again, I'm following the instructions in the book. If you have a different way of doing this, let me know so that I make my life much easier the next time around. Once the jars are warm, I'm going to take them out and put them onto a dish towel on my counter. And then I'm going to add to the bottom of the jars citric acid, lemon juice, along with a little bit of salt. This step is straight out of the Bernardin Complete Book of Home Preserving, and this is basically the Canadian equivalent of the Ball books in the US. It just makes sure the acidity level is safe for long-term storage, and it also brightens the flavor too. Just make sure you're following the directions in the book. Guys, it's been hours and we're finally here. It's finally time to ladle the sauce into the jars, and I'm using a funnel for this. I'm also double checking the headspace to make sure it's at 1/2 inch, and I'm making adjustments along the way. I was expecting to get about 5 750 ml jars out of this sauce. I ended up only getting 4. I'm a bit disappointed, but it's my fault because I made this sauce so thick. Once you're done, it's important to wipe the rims clean at this stage. Even though I didn't show it on camera, a clean rim helps the lid seal properly. With the lids and bands in place, the jars are ready to go into the canner. You're going to bring this to a boil for the specified time in the book. This is the scariest part for me because if they're not processed properly, then they won't be shelf stable. The next day, once the jars were cool, I removed the fasteners and double checked the seals to make sure they were secure. I did hear them pop last night, so I think everything is good. This entire batch gave me 4 750 milliliter jars of deep red sauce plus 1 500 milliliter jar of bright orange sunrise sauce. It's always amazing how many tomatoes it takes to make just a few jars, but planting extra this year really paid off. To celebrate, I made some pasta for lunch, starting off with that beautiful sauce that we made together and then topping it with some fresh basil from the garden. Simple, delicious, and so rewarding. I still have 4 tomato plants producing, so there's more sauce making in my future. The rest of the summer garden has been cleared out, which I shared in my last video, but I'll be hanging on to these last tomatoes as long as I can. Thanks so much for hanging out with me in the kitchen today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you're preserving your tomatoes this season. See you in the next one. Bye.